Hello, so we are here with the problem of the day, and today we have parenthesis checker. Let's read the problem statement. The problem statement says, given an expression string x, examine whether the pairs and the order of these three brackets, your curly bracket, your parentheses, and your square bracket, are correct in the expression. Okay, for example, the function should return true if this certainly is the example. We'll see why it is true, and false if there is some wrong expression. So simply we would be given one string and we have to evaluate whether that is a correct expression or not. Okay, and how are we categorizing? Well, we are checking whether the parentheses or in general all the brackets are balanced or not. Okay, quite simple question, kind of very generic question of a stack. We'll see how we are going to use that. Okay, now one note is written here. The driver code prints balanced in function if that returns true. It prints not balanced if the function returns false. Well, let's focus on the test cases, try to understand what the problem is saying. Assuming this is our input, okay, let me just draw it here. So here you can see every opening bracket does have a closing corresponding bracket, okay. These one, this one opened and closed, this one opened here and closed here, this one opened here and closed here. And all of these brackets are in sequence. That means, let's take one slightly altered example of this. What if I do something like this, right? Now, can you consider this example as balanced? No. Why? Because we do have the opening and closing correspondings, but the sequence is hindered here. Okay, so you can see you have the opening bracket here and the closing bracket is this one, but we have this square bracket in between. Thus, we cannot say that this is a balanced string. So now you understand this test case as well. Let's see this one, very simple test case. You have opening, closing, true. You have to return true for it. This one, you have opening parenthesis, then you have square bracket, and then you have closed square bracket. This one remains open. It isn't closed. Thus, we can say that this is not balanced. So I hope now you have an idea of what the question is talking about, right? Let's talk about the intuition of it. Taking upon one example, let's say this is our example, right? So now in my case, what I'll do, let's first alter this example a little so that it actually does not pass this one. Now, how do we check it? We have to take care of two things. First, let's just establish that. That means for every opening bracket, let's say I have this one, I must have one closing corresponding bracket, and I should be taking care of the sequence. So if like in the intuition, if I see that I'd be choosing every bracket one by one, okay. So let's say I'm having this one, let's denote it with I. I've chosen this bracket. I have to keep a record of it. That means, okay, I have encountered one opening parenthesis. I'll go to the next one. I'll keep a track of it that, okay, now I have encountered one square bracket. Here, I have encountered one curly braces, okay, or curly bracket. Then going to this one. Now I have to see with all the brackets that I have encountered previously, do I have a pair of it? Because I have now encountered a bracket which is a closing bracket. So corresponding to this, there is going to be one opening bracket, at least that is supposed to, because if there is, then only we can say, okay, yes, it is balanced. So here at this point, I did find this one. That means, okay, the work is done. I can say, okay, let's remove it from the record because so far our string is like completely matched. Here, this one, I found it. This is also done. Going to this parenthesis, I found a closing one. This also is removed. This also is removed. Till here, till this point, everything is going fine, right? Now here at this point, I have to enter this square bracket here, right? Then this opening parenthesis, then this square bracket. Then I get one parenthesis. But you can see I have a parenthesis here, but that is not in the sequence, right? That is not the latest one that we have encountered. Okay, I've quoted one thing, latest here. Okay, so what we are looking for is the closing pair for the latest opening bracket that I have encountered. Okay, now if that sounds familiar, well, this pattern of recording some data and keeping the latest one at the top, well, this signifies that we would be using a stack. Okay, so now let's just see this question in terms of stack. Let's take any similar example here. Okay, so let's say this is our problem statement. This is our string, and we have to check it. Fine. So the moment I'm going to find any of these three opening brackets, what should I do? I have to simply record these in my data structure. In this case, we are using stack. I'll record this in stack. Let's try to iterate. I'm here with I. Okay. The first character that I encounter is this one. So this is one of these three opening. I'll record it here. I went to the next one. Okay. It is also opening. I'll record it here. I went at this point at here, like this one is one of the closing brackets, right? So now whenever I encounter one of the closing bracket, what do I have to do? I have to check the top of my stack, whether there is the same pair or not. If we have same category, yes, what I'm going to do, everything is all right. I'm just going to pop this value and I'm going to move ahead. And I'm going to move ahead. So the moment I've encountered this one, okay, match found. So what will I do? I will simply take it out from the stack. This is deleted. All right. Now at this point, when I see one closing bracket and I take a look at my stack, you can see the stack does not contain any element. Thus, the comparison is not possible. So at this point, we can establish that no matter we traverse our string for like a string fourth or not, the string is not balanced. So you can simply put up a break statement, and any situation occurred in your in your code. At this point, you can simply return false because there is no need to calculate more. There is no need to see the further string. Okay, this case has happened. One more case can happen in which you have a different bracket, right? Let's suppose you have these brackets, you have this one, and one curly closing bracket is occurring. Okay, so a mismatch happens. This is also a point where you can establish that, okay, this string is not a balanced string. You can simply return false. Okay, what could be the other case? Well, the other case could be like this. Let me draw out one test case for you. But it could be like this. Okay, this one. So I have these four opening brackets. I'll record all of these in my stack one by one. Okay, this one. All right. So all of these opening brackets are recorded. I encountered this one, this cancelled. I encountered this parentheses, this cancelled. I encountered this square bracket, this cancelled. Now, after the traversal is ended, see, you have ended the traversal successfully. But at the last, you have to check whether your stack is empty or not. If your stack is not empty, such in this case, then again you have to return false because you have some leftover opening brackets which have not found their pair. Okay. So what are the categories? You can either break when a mismatch happens. You can break if there is no value in the stack and you are checking, or at the end if you have some of the remaining values in the stack. So now I believe that you have a very clear understanding of how this approach is working. Let's see the code for the same. Okay, so here is the code. What have I done here? I've taken one stack and I'm iterating my string. Okay, every time I'm putting one character here and I'm checking that whether if that character is one of the opening brackets, what will I do? I will simply append that in my stack. And else, that means in this case, I can encounter I will be encountering any of the closing brackets. I have to explicitly check which of the closing bracket I'm talking about. And if that is not the case, I can also put one thing here so that I do not fall in this category that I have empty list or empty stack in this case. And also I'm trying to check something, because if this happens, we will encounter an error that is index out of bound, and that will be failing all your test cases then. So keep a check that you have taken care of this. And here, once you start checking that, okay, if the character at the top is this one, then you can establish it. Okay, this is checked. We pop out the value if that is same, and we continue because we need not to check the other ones. Similar thing happens with this closing parenthesis and closing the square bracket. We are popping the element if it is found. If it is not, then we will simply return false. Okay. And what continue is doing is, if we have found one pair, there is no need to keep on checking it in this single iteration. What we'll do, we will go on to the next iteration. Okay. If this fails at any of the point, if this fails, we do not have all these categories, then we return false. Okay. Once these two conditions are taken care of, we still have to take care of the third condition. That means, what if we have if we have successfully iterated our string, but we have some of the values left? Then at that point, what I'll do, I'll check that if there is any length of the stack, or we can say if there are any elements left in the stack, then what will I do? I'll return false. And if also that is not also the case, then eventually I can finally say that, okay, this string is balanced, and I will return true. Okay. What will be the time complexity and space complexity for it? Well, you might have already analyzed. We are iterating through the string once, right? From the beginning till the end, and we are just making our calculations, making our process. Here, for the one iteration, we are taking order of n. All right. Now, space complexity is also order of n because we are using one extra space that is of a stack. So you can think of worst case is like that you have n opening brackets, then you have to use n storage, right? So for that case, you can say that your space complexity is also order of n. Let's try to run this code and see if it is passing for all the test cases. Okay, here's the code. Let's submit that. So here, as you can see, all the test cases are passed. Okay, so I hope you have gotten a very clear understanding of parentheses checker, one of the very classical problems of stack. And if you like the video, please do give it a like and mention in the comment. Thanks.